In this video, we need to make one last change to our reducer function. Right now, we're not doing any validation on red, green, or blue, so essentially we just have to add that validation in. To do so, we're going to write out some validation logic inside of each case to make sure that we don't exceed red, green, or blue by too much, or alternatively, go into the negatives. To write this out, we're going to first add in an if statement, and then we're going to refactor it into a ternary instead. So let's get to it. Inside of case red, I'm going to add in an if statement, and we're going to check to see if state.red plus action.amount. So this is essentially what we want to change our value of red to. If that is greater than 255, or alternatively, if state.red plus action.amount is less than 0, then that means we do not want to make any update whatsoever. So you might want to put inside of here just like return and say, don't do anything, just get out of here. But remember, there's a big gotcha here. Back over here, number 2, no matter what, we always must return a value from our reducer. Just so you understand what's going on behind the scenes, I'm going to go back down to my component down here. At some point in time, you and I are calling that dispatch function. When we call dispatch, React is going to call the reducer that we hooked up right there. That's the function that we defined right above, remember? When we eventually return a value from our reducer, right here, React is going to automatically re-render our square screen component. When square screen gets re-rendered for a second or third or fourth time, whichever time, whatever we return from that reducer is going to be provided to us in this state object right here. And that's why it's so important for us to always return something from our reducer function. If we don't return anything at all, then state is going to show up inside of our function during the next re-render as undefined. And that is going to very quickly result in an error. As a matter of fact, let's just test that out right now to see what kind of error message we would get. So back up here, I've got my first validation. So if we go into anything above 255, or if we go below 0, we're not going to return anything. And again, bad, don't want to do that. So let's save this and see what kind of error message we get if that occurs. So I'm going to save that. I'll go back over and I'll hit decrease red right away. And sure enough, I instantly see a nasty error message that says undefined is not an object. So what's going on there? Well, remember, we're doing some destructuring right here. So we are looking at that state object, and we're trying to pull off red, green, and blue. Because we return nothing from our reducer, state has shown up inside of our component during a re-render as undefined. So we are essentially trying to reference the red property on undefined. And that's exactly why we're seeing this error message. Undefined is not an object, which means we cannot pull off the red property from it. So again, we have to make sure, no matter what, we always return something from our reducer. So what do we return if, well, we don't want to make any changes? In this case right here, we don't want to change our state object at all. If that's the case, no problem. We just return the state object that was passed into our reducer without making any changes. So we would change this to return state, like so. So again, we can evaluate this as saying, if we don't want to make a change, because that would give us an invalid state, just return the existing state object. Don't do anything at all. Okay, so let's save this, and we'll test it out really quickly. Now I should be able to hit decrease red right away and not see a crash. Perfect. And I should be able to hit increase red and see the color change immediately. I should be able to get all the way to like bright red right here. And then if I tap on decrease red, it should change a shade of color right away. Yep, definitely did. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So this is pretty good right here, but we could update this logic to use a ternary expression instead. Let's write that out really quickly. So to use a ternary expression here, we would first find the opening if statement right here. I would delete if and the opening parenthesis. I would then go to the very end of the line and delete the closing parenthesis and that curly brace. So the ternary expression is going to evaluate this line right here. If that's true, or if we don't want to, or if we're going to get into an invalid state, then we want to immediately return our state object. Now again, inside of a ternary, we cannot have a return expression. So if this is true right here, I'm then going to delete return state. I'll add in a question mark and put in state like so. And then if that expression is falsy, so I'll add in a comma, or excuse me, a colon. If that's the case, then I instead want to return our updated state object, what we wrote down there. So I'll paste it in right there like so. Now remember, we need to return something at some point, so we're going to put a return statement right in front of the ternary expression. So now whatever this entire expression evaluates to, either state or the updated state, we're going to return that. Again, this is just a more compact way of writing out that if statement that we were just taking a look at. Now, just to make sure we didn't make any typos here, let's save this really quickly. Flip back over. I will increase, yep, definitely getting lighter, and getting darker. Perfect. So if you just made these changes with me and you're now seeing an error message, I can guarantee you just made a typo somewhere inside of here. 100%. There's definitely a typo inside here. So please triple check your code there if you're seeing an error message and find wherever that typo is. All right, so we can now duplicate this return statement for our other two cases as well. So I'm going to highlight the entire ternary expression, all 3 lines. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to add it into green in place of the existing one. So I'm going to delete the case green body and paste that in. And I'll delete the case blue body and paste that in as well. Now in both case green and case blue, we have to update a couple property names. In total, we need to update 1, 2, and 3 different property names. 4. So in each of these bodies, we have the word red 4 times. So we need to change this first one to green. So I'll do state.green. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. And there's 4. Make sure you made 4 updates as well. And then we'll repeat that for blue as well. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Once again, you should have made 4 updates to case blue. All right, so we can now finally do a test. I'll save this, go back to Square Demo. I'll increase red. Yep, works. Increase blue. Yep, definitely works. And increase green. Yep, definitely works as well. All right, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so we've now seen reducers in action. So let's take a quick pause right here and continue in the next video.